Hello everyone. Now I provided this prompt to the ChatGPT and here I got the answer. As answer is less than 200 words, so I can easily read the answer and understand. Docker networking basics. Docker networking let you containers communicate with each other or outside world. Think of each think of each container like mini app running in its own room. Docker provides hallways so these apps can talk. There are three common network types: bridge, host, none. Default for standalone containers like private LAN, share your machine network, no isolation, or none, no network at all. You can create custom networks so containers can easily discover each other by name. This is super helpful for Java microservices, especially when Spring Boot app talking to database. So Spring Boot will have one container, database will have another container. Okay. Normally this bridge is preferred, but it also depend. User can also consider using other options, other networking options. Okay. Imagine your house has multiple rooms. Bridge network is like giving each room its own intercom. They can call each other if they are in the same hallway. And host network is like everyone sharing one big room, no walls. No network means room is soundproof. Okay, so suppose I want to create a like manually if I want to create Docker network, then I specify name of a network, then I run the container MySQLDB, and here's the name of a network. Okay. And when we create a Docker compose file, then we specified it in a different way. Hmm. And there are three different questions like what is the difference between Docker bridge and Docker host? So you can uh, try to answer yourself. I can wait like for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So here I already mentioned the answer. Like bridge network is like each room has its own intercom, and host is like everyone sharing a one big room. That is the basic difference between Docker bridge and Docker host. Why would you create a custom Docker network for your container? Yes, that is a question. And answer is if I want to establish a communication with other containers, then I need a network. Okay. And either I create network using this way or using Docker Compose way. Docker Compose way I will teach later. Okay, as of now you can understand this way we create container. Okay. So in the example above, why can Spring Boot app use MySQL as TP host name? See, if I'm developing a Spring Boot application and it is dependent on database, then it need a database host. Okay. This example I will also provide you in a detailed way once I do a real example, especially in the Docker Compose file. Okay, then I can explain you all these things, all these questions very well. Hmm. Okay. So yeah, this is one example of the prompt template. We have some more examples. Let's see. Here's a resource. So what is a resource? Resource are the extra context you give the model so it stops guessing and start using your material. Okay. For example, code snippets, API docs, class nodes, book excerpts. requirement style guide, CSV JSON, and config files. Okay. So if I want to save my time and I want to use it ChatGPT efficiently, I have to provide it a good context. What problem I want to solve using ChatGPT. Okay. Why it is useful? Answers are grounded in your reality, not generic theory. Less hallucination and more use this exact structure. How you might phrase it. Here is existing Docker Kubernetes YAML. Use only these as a starting point, improve them for production. Okay, I'll give you one example. I have one project and this is one Spring Boot application. This is one basic example. I just write a context. I have a Spring Boot controller code, and please help me to write a unit test for that Spring Boot controller class. Here is the Spring Boot controller class. Okay, I will go into more detail about this thing because there's a specified module in which I discuss this thing, but I'm just giving an example. Okay, so instead of copying this thing, I copy whole class. Okay, okay, so this is another project. So I'm just closing this project and opening documents, Spring Boot. I've got many projects, so WMS application. This window, hopefully it opened. Okay. However, unfortunately, I do not have test. I think yes. So I think okay. So first it mentioned about these dependencies and let's see. I just want to make it compilable code as of now. Later, when I do real example, then I will do it. What is the name of this class? Plate sales controller test. Okay. Okay. Then I just copied this code and maybe I will have some dependency issue. Okay, I think I have to copy these models here. Paste. Okay, so there are still some errors. Let's see how to fix these errors. Plate sales repository. Hmm. Okay, so I did not, yes, I did not fix this problem. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm getting this problem. Hopefully that problem is solved. This problem is solved. Plate sales controller. Okay, mock result. Okay, so this is a small problem I think I'm getting. Hmm. It is not a good solution, but yeah, somehow objective is to make it work. It's compiling. That was the objective. Running this test is not an objective at the moment. Okay, because this is just making. Okay, so we are done with this example. Okay, now we go through this how you might phrase it. Here is an existing Docker and Kubernetes YAML. Use these as starting point, improve them. Okay, or here's a class from Spring Boot project. I just showed you the Spring Boot class. Okay, I will also show you a Docker file and Kubernetes examples, but later. You are basically saying don't invent stuff, work with these resources. So yeah, we are not inventing any stuff. I just entered a unit test. I just entered a controller class and see automatically I got this unit test. It is compiling mainly. Okay, so create plate test. Okay, all this debugging and testing we will do, but later. So updates. What it is? Updates are how you refine or correct the task as you go without starting over. Adding new constraints, correcting misunderstanding, narrowing or broadening scopes. Why it is useful? Conversations are iterative. You need change midway. You can steer the model like close, but not exactly. Try this instead. Okay, please assume the app run on Kubernetes with 3 replica and nginx ingress. Please explanation keep the explanation under 300 words. The target audience is non-technical managers, not developers. So with the help of update message, we can use same file or context, same text in a repetitive manner. Okay, so it would certainly save our time and we can get the desired result. Okay, like you have a prompt skeleton, we keep updating it as per our need and we keep getting result as per our requirement. The real world, your reusable prompt skeleton, that is templates. Resources, the real world material you give the model to work with. updates your steering wheel during the conversation. For example, as it is earlier mentioned, suppose I want to keep explanation under 300 words and avoid buzzwords. I want to assume that app run on Kubernetes with 3 replicas and ngInx ingress. Or target audience is non-technical manager, not developer. If target audience is non-technical managers, it means we must keep avoiding buzzwords and explain our work in a very simple language. Okay. So here is a template for some Java concept. Okay, so you're expert, senior Java DevOps engineer. I am at intermediate Java beginner. Topic Kubernetes ingress versus service types. Please explain the concept in simple terms. So I copy this prompt template and paste it here. Okay, I remove this image. I have to do some updates. So your experts Java senior Java DevOps engineer. Okay. Your expert senior Java DevOps engineer. I am at intermediate Java and beginner Kubernetes engineer. Okay, and the topic is Kubernetes ingress versus service types. Okay, explain the concept in terms of. Sorry, sorry, I have to stop it. 400 words. Okay, now I. Oh, somehow it got stopped. Okay, so Kubernetes ingress versus service types. You intermediate in Java, beginner in Kubernetes. Me, senior Java and DevOps engineer, clear understanding, no fluff, maximum 400 words. Kubernetes service types and ingress help expose your application to other part of cluster or outside world. Service is like a stable way to reach your pods, which might change IPs. So there are three service types: cluster IP, node port, and load balancer. Cluster IP is accessible only inside the cluster. Node port expose the app on a port on every node. And load balancer create a cloud provider load balancer with external IP. Ingress is a smarter way to manage HTTP and HTTPS traffic. It can route traffic to multiple services using one external IP or domain based on host or path. Ingress work with controller, real world analogy. Think of a Kubernetes cluster like apartment building. Cluster IP is like calling someone inside building using intercom. Node port is like shouting from outside and hoping right window hears you. It's like your friends calling you from outside and hopefully you could hear them. This is very common thing in some countries. Load balancer is like giving your apartment its own phone number. Ingress is like smart receptionist who greets guests and direct them to right apartment based on what they ask. I'm here for sales or I'm here to meet my friend. So this is example of one Kubernetes manifest file. Okay, so common mistakes or misconception. Assuming ingress work without a controller, it doesn't. You need one. Okay, using load balancer for every service, it's expensive and overkill. Sometimes you have to use the right tool for right problem. Okay, otherwise you could lead to expensive and overkill stuff. Exposing sensitive internal service via node. It is risky and use ingress with auth and security. And here we have three questions. When should I use ingress instead of multiple load balancer? What happens if I deploy an ingress resource without controller? And how can I secure my ingress routes? Okay, so this is a basic introduction of Kubernetes ingress and service type. And I would say it is a very good explanation of at least three, four concepts: ingress, load balancer, node port, cluster IP. Okay, so this template is really good template to understand this concept at least. Okay, I can also extend number of words like 500 words. I can change the topic, okay, write something else. Okay, topic could be something else like Docker Compose, or maybe some software engineering topic. Okay, so this is a very good template for this purpose. Explain concept, tech slash DevOps or Java. Okay, so now I have got another template for code review. Hmm. Refactor template Java Spring Boot. Okay, so I post this code. Okay, so first read this template. Okay, you are senior software architect. Okay, let's become senior Spring Boot architect. Here is my code. Task: review this code for reliability, readability, testability, and performance. Point out concrete issues, bullet list. Propose a refactored version of code. Explain why your code changes are better in 3 to 5. Suggest 3 unit tests. Keep API method signature compatible unless absolutely necessary. I make it version Control Z. I will not change it like this. So here's the problem. Java version, Spring Boot version, and here is specify Java version. Otherwise, it will create a confusion. 21. Hmm. Okay, so I have another project, or maybe I'll use the same project. Let's use this controller class and let's see what happens. Hmm. Okay. Mhm. I see too many problems here. Okay. Yes, I agree with the suggestion. I have wrong method name, like it has correct HTTP method. Let's see what mistakes I had, like get. And it is creating. It is supposed to have post, yes. I'm not copying it, okay, because I will do it. But yeah, it's a very good suggestion. I would say I got. Okay. So yeah, it is also a very good template for this purpose. Code review and review refactor template Java Spring Boot. Okay. Now I go to the template. Third template is about debugging or fixing a problem. Okay. So I just make it bad, make this code bad again. Okay. So you are role Java Spring Boot plus Docker troubleshooting expert. I have this problem. What I'm trying to do short code. I am expected what uh, actually happened. Paste post code here. Okay. So let's do another example. So far we do really good examples. Okay, I close this. I put some, let's think, let's take another project. Uh, Spring Boot, no, here, this is Spring Boot. Okay, I post this code and okay, what I'm trying to do, fix, I want to establish, I want to establish logging for each request. Okay, log. Each request must be logged. What actually each request is not getting logged. Each request is not getting logged. Okay, I'm using a wrong model actually, but yeah, somehow it is not bad. So it is giving me suggestion SLF4J I can use, but you might know that before controller there are some kind of interceptor that we have to there we have to configure the logging. Okay, but somehow it is acceptable because I mentioned that in this file, in this Java file, I want to establish logging. So this is quite acceptable solution. Okay, but suppose if I change the model, what would happen? Let's see it. Then I again think, see, this is what I wanted. Okay, I assume Spring Boot 3.6, Java 17, Docker, app running in a container on Linux. Okay, application prod YAML Docker environment. Might have log level root warn. Logs going to file inside container. You are expecting per request logs. This is what I want. No request, logging filter, access log configured. Spring Boot doesn't automatically log every HTTP request unless you enable access logs. So here we have some possible root causes. A different logging config between local and Docker profile. Docker image might run with Spring profile active equal to prod, which has different logging settings than your local application.yaml. Step-by-step debugging plan. Docker logs, test with guaranteed error log, inspect logging in config. So yeah, this is what exactly wanted. Okay, and this is what I got. Along with it, I can also log here. Okay, and so yeah, I got very good response from ChatGPT. Like it really solved my problem. Okay, okay. So third problem is solved. Now it's a fourth problem. It has nothing to do with backend engineering. I just added, okay, because as a backend engineer, you are supposed to read a lot, or as a software engineer, reading is like something which you cannot avoid. And you might not have enough time to read any book or a specific book. So sometimes summaries could be helpful. And let's, sorry, it's a mistake on my end. Okay, okay. You are a professional book summarizer. Power of habit, because habit or deep work, these books are like you can't avoid. I just got just checking. I think it's a double B. Power of habit. Okay, it's 1B. Okay, so it's my mistake. Part, chapter, which part? All chapters. Chapter. Hmm, and words like 500 words, I would say. Hmm. I mentioned all. On S is 500, 500 words. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so core idea is habit run much out of our lives on autopilot mode. They live in bustle, kindly, I really don't know what does it mean, and free up mental energy. Cue routine reward. Cue routine reward. Trigger behavior payoff your brain craves. Pleasure, relief, stimulation, social connection. Habit never fully disappear. They are dormant circuits waiting for right cue. You change them by keeping the cue and reward by but changing the routine, the golden rules of habit change. Some habits are keystone that trigger positive cascades across life or organization. Better mood, productivity, communication, profit. Okay, concrete action you can apply. Dissect one bad habit using habit loop. Keep same cue. When stress craving relief, try 5-minute walk, journaling, or breathing instead of junk food. Track results for 1 or 2 weeks. Build one keystone habit with clear plan. Choose a small high leverage habit, 10 minutes of exercise, planning your day, daily reading. Define a specific cue, simple routine, and immediate reward. Okay, cue reward, routine reward. So I think it's a very good summary according to me. So, yeah, let's go with the next problem. Okay, suppose I'm creating some content and blog post topic target audience is junior Java dev, junior Java devs who know Spring Boot but are new to Kubernetes. Example friendly, practical, no fluff. Length, I would say I don't need it. Yeah, minutes is also possible. Okay, Kubernetes for Java developer. Mhm. Blog post, blog post, Kubernetes for Java. Kubernetes for Java developer. Topic. Kubernetes manifest files and words. I would say Kubernetes word time 10 minutes maximum. See, so here, what is H2? Okay, I made a mistake, so I fix it now. Heading. Why Kubernetes manifest file matters for Java dev? Core building blocks, pod deployment service, is most simple Spring Boot deployment manifest, exposing your app as service, common gotcha for Java apps. Recap and next step. Why Kubernetes manifest file matter for Java devs? Core building blocks for deployment service. A simple Spring Boot deployment manifest. Exposing your app as service and recap. I'm also getting some advice how I can make some improvement in this deployment of service file. You learn what Kubernetes manifest file are and how to describe deployment and service for a Spring Boot app using YAML. Try adding live probe and readiness to add resource limit for Java app. Okay. So this is pretty good explanation, and it is one of the last template I'll be using. Okay. So now I'll guide you how ChatGPT basically works. ChatGPT is basically a supercharged auto template. It is trained on lot and lot of text that carefully coach on helpful. Okay, so it is a LLM, large language model, a kind of neural network. It doesn't know things like human beings. It recognizes patterns. So suppose I do one thing. Why is Michael? Okay. Suppose I write this. I am missing two alphabets. Let's see what happened. However, I'm using a very big model to solve this small problem. Yeah. So my name is Michael. So if I make a mistake like NAME or NME, this LLM model can easily find out what mistake I made. And how it know? Because it knows the pattern. Okay. So it read lot of text, books, article, website, code. It learned statistical pattern, which word tend to follow which word, which alphabet tend to follow which alphabet in the specific word. So basically, LLM is a kind of a neural network which is trained on a lot of data, and it work on the statistical patterns. So suppose we have to predict something, as we have seen that it can easily predict number text alphabet in a text. Okay, so core training task is simple. Give this text so far, what most like the next word. It make prediction, compare them to the real text, see where it was wrong, adjust its internal parameters. And as I already mentioned, it is trained on like millions of files, books. So that's why it is very unlikely to make a basic error. Okay. How it answer? How ChatGPT answer? When you type a simple questions, how ChatGPT work? So your text is broken into tokens. A small piece of word like how ChatGPT works. The model look at all tokens so far. Use it learn pattern to compute what token is most likely to come next. What token is most likely to come next? It picks a next token, then repeats. Now it has longer sentence. Again predict the next token and so on, one tiny piece at a time until it has full answer. There is some randomness, temperature. Oh, these things are important, especially when you are dealing with your prompts. Okay. I will certainly explain you these things, randomness and especially temperature. Okay, so there is some randomness temperature, so it doesn't always reply with exact same word. So every answer is generated on fly, not fetch from database of prepared answer. Okay, I'm basically creating an app, and that app is using a lot of LLM calls. So it's every time it gives a different answer. Okay, so this thing is really important, and I will certainly talk about this thing in detail. This randomness and temperature, especially temperature. Randomness is like easy to understand word temperature, but in the technical terms it is temperature. Okay. So extra coaching make it helpful and safe. After raw model is trained, it goes through polishing phase. Human give example of good and bad answer. Model is trained again to follow instructions better, be polite, helpful, avoid harmful and unsafe content. This is called alignment. Okay. Be polite. If I ask something bad, like write me some really arrogant speech. Maybe ChatGPT refused to answer. Okay, so in actual ChatGPT product, the model can sometimes call tools. For example, web browser, calculator, especially code runners, image generators. See, we did a lot of example of coding. It will certainly call some kind of code runner. Okay, let's generate an image. Can you generate an image of Eiffel Tower? Eiffel Tower. Let's see. Run. But it's calling Mhm. Let's see how good is our Eiffel Tower. Basically, it is calling a image generation model, and that image generation model is generating an image. From your perspective, in the meantime, I'm just reading it. Okay. Okay. Slowly, slowly, it is showing us the image. Wow. It looks very real. Yeah. So here, this ChatGPT called a service, which is in our context. I mean, it called another software or tool which generates images, and then ChatGPT is showing us the image generator. And there are many other tools which can help us to generate even better images. Okay, so from your perspective, it still feels like chatting, but behind the scenes, it might read your message decide I should look up this call tool. They use tools to write better answers. It is not a chatting app anymore. It is way more than a chatting app. Okay, a kind of an assistant, I would say. There are some limitations. It can sound confident but be wrong. No real understanding, just patterns. It doesn't remember everything forever about you unless a special memory feature is used. It doesn't have real time awareness of the world by itself, only via tool like browsing. Okay, so there are some limitations of ChatGPT too. Everything has some limitations anyway. So let's talk about the strength of ChatGPT. This is going to be a bit big. Okay. Strength of ChatGPT. Language skill. Write, rewrite text in many style, formal, casual, humorous, didactic. Can summarize, expand, translate, and simplify complex material. So for writing or text creation, even translation, ChatGPT is really one of the best. Pattern recognition and synthesis. Good at spotting patterns across a lot of text. Common coding patterns, repeated arguments in debates, uh, typical structure for emails, essays, blog post. If it can do so many things, especially first part I discussed very well. Suppose you want to create an app which do sentiment analysis. No sentiment analysis. Then ChatGPT can be a very good tool. You want to write essay, you want to improve quality of essay. Suppose you are learning a new language and you have certain level and you want to improve your level. So to improve your level, you have to write. You have to write in that particular language. And ChatGPT can help you to advance your language skills, write good essays or blog posts, can combine information from different areas into coherent explanation. Suppose you want information from two, three books or two, three different subjects, you can get coherent explanation. Versatile assistant behavior can play many roles: tutor, editor, brainstorming partner, mock interviewer. Yeah, suppose you have interview, you can ask ChatGPT to interview. Follow structured instruction well, give three bullet points and two examples, then one summary. That is like really possible. It can act as a tutor for coding, language, any subject you like, you know. It can also act as editor. It can be your brainstorming partner. For example, you are working on some project and you are just thinking of some ideas. So you can ask ChatGPT and you can get really good idea. Okay, respond in seconds. It is almost available 24 by 7. I can't say it is always available because sometime it might server go down or some problem happen. That's why I say almost 24 by 7. Great for quick draft idea generation, first passes on tasks that you refine. Called tool use. Now, this is one of the most important part of ChatGPT, tool use. Can call tools like browser, code runner, image generator. Okay, this extended beyond static knowledge into looking up, reset info, running code, generating, editing images. So we have just edited images. Now I do one more thing. Hmm, I have this code. Okay, I just want to make a compile error and let's see how ChatGPT fix it. Please help me to fix compile error in the following code and also about that inform me about the exact time compile error. Okay, now I click send and let's see what happens. I can spot, yes. The problem is in your catch block, return statement is missing a semicolon. See, I missed semicolon and that's what it found. So running code, looking up recent info. Okay, please tell me five major events news in India, South Asia, I would say. South Asia. Let's see. Please tell me five major news. Okay, so it is also providing me current information. Current event law. So we have got some five major news. Unfortunately, some catastrophic flood happened in South Asia. India allow Pakistani humanitarian aid. Nepal and India joined this against encroachment in no man's land. Bangladesh quashed sentence UK. So yeah, we can also read current news using ChatGPT. That is also a very interesting feature of ChatGPT. Okay, so let's see about the prices. Okay, uh, prices. Okay, what is the cheapest? What is the cheapest shampoo uh, available in Lidl, Munich? Let's see. This is a bit weird question, but let's see what happens. I start general product listing. Okay, since it would be difficult. Okay, Seen shampoos from Seen are really cheap. I have also seen it. The user asks for approximate pricing. I will mention the product. Okay, I can't see live shelf data from a specific Lidl store in Munich, but based on current nationwide Lidl price data, cheapest shampoo you typically find there at 0.65 euro per bottle. Seen hair care Thak Potak shampoo, Frust and with a vitamin for men 500 ml 0.72 cents. So yeah, it this information might be incorrect, but it gives us some estimates that at least seen products are a bit cheap or seen shampoo will be cheaper. Okay. So we were here. Now we move to okay. So we have okay. So yes, ChatGPT has used tools to provide us some news new version of libraries, events, current events we mentioned. We also discussed about the prices. Okay, and it might miss, yeah, like it might have some outdated knowledge. So ChatGPT doesn't have as good understanding or common sense as human have. That's what is claimed. Yes, it is possible. Okay, suppose there are many contextual languages. Like in Germany, people say yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah means yeah, yeah. Yes, yeah means yes. But in Germany, yeah, yeah means something else. Like yeah, just yeah, yeah. Or maybe sometimes people say something in a very contextual way. So that kind of context ChatGPT may not be able to understand. Okay. And ChatGPT can also be confidently wrong. Okay. We might experience this thing. Okay. It may give very plausible sounding but incorrect answer. Sometimes if we put some really difficult mathematics problem, it might not be able to give us correct answer, but it will show that it's a very correct. Fragility to unclear prompts, vague or ambiguous instructions, vague or generic answers. Small changes in wording can lead to different outputs. Not a perfect logical reasoner, can make mistakes in math, logical puzzle, or multi-step reasoning. No direct access to private or real-time data. Suppose I want to ask ChatGPT about a specific file which is only kept at a specific place in somewhere in Munich. ChatGPT would not be able to answer me correctly. Okay, so let's see. Even yeah, can you please tell me how many books are present in GDA by R? There are many books. GDA by R is General Directorate. Yeah, it is taking too much time. So okay, so it is giving us estimates. And these estimates it is giving us from the website available on this archives. Okay. Because it doesn't have access to, doesn't see your local files, desktop, or real world environment unless explicitly given via tools or uploads. Can't check reality unless it use browsers or other external tools. Yeah. What is hallucination? Hallucination, okay, is when model produce confident, detailed but incorrect or made up information. inventing sources of citation, making up APIs, functions that do not exist. So as we work with ChatGPT, we will certainly find some data or some kind of information which is not correct. You're mixing up facts. These things happen. Not too much, but it happens with ChatGPT. The model chooses the next most plausible token based on patterns, not on the ground truth database. It doesn't know, it still tries to produce something fluent. Internet contain errors, contradiction, pressure to be helpful. Models are optimized to respond rather than say, I don't know. Models are trained like that, so they often answer even when uncertain. Okay, how to reduce the impact of hallucination? You can't fully eliminate them, but you manage risk. Okay, ask for sources, citation that actually check them, especially for medical, legal, financial, security related stuff. Use it for draft, not final truth. Treat output as a starting point. You verify and refine. Give code, docs, constraints so it doesn't have to guess. The more context you provide, the better answer you will get. Here is my actual API spec. Only use endpoint from this text. Okay. Explicitly allow I don't know. I show you one example. Here. In this code, see this prompt. You are a nutrition vision model. Use only what is clearly visible in image to identify food portion. Uh, Total calorie macros in JSON. Do this. If image is not food, set outcome not food. Message this is not. Okay, something like this we have to configure in our prompt.